So first we need to understand what is testing. Okay. Then we will understand types of testing. After that, we will pick up uh, what is test automation, why we do it, and how we do it. Okay. And what tools are available and language support for same. Okay. And after this, we will do the introduction to JavaScript, and if needed, we will pick up TypeScript as well. Then we will start with the Playwright. Okay. Okay. So basically, we need to understand what is testing, right? So in software world, what happens is that developers they build the project, right? Right. But they don't directly build the project. First, there is something called as software development life cycle. Okay. So how the project is built from start to end, that whole process is called as software development life cycle. So before building any project, we need to understand its requirements, right? Say for example, we need to build a house, right? So first we need to have a blueprint, right? So after having the blueprint, we seek the approval from the various engineers and then start the building. Okay. We don't directly start building the house from the day one, right? So first there is like requirement analysis and gathering. Okay. Then in this phase, what we do is that what we have to build, okay, and what all things it will have. Okay. Say for example, a house will be of 3 stories. Okay. It will have 10 rooms. Okay. Color will be red. Okay. Say for example, these are some properties it will have. So after analyzing these requirements and gathering them, we go to the design phase. Okay. So in design phase, what we do is that we create some blueprints, right? Like in case of the house, right? We create some blueprint. Like the house will have this much dimension, this room will be of this much dimension. So that all is clear, right? So after doing the analysis and the design, we start the building part. So building part is done by the developers. Okay. But we need to make sure, say for example, there was a requirement in my project where I should have the room with the walls having blue color, right? Okay. And it should have one door and 3 windows. So these are some requirements for a particular room. But somebody needs to make sure whether that is done correctly or not. The people who do is that is called as tester or quality assurance people. In short, we call them QA. Okay. And then we will learn about another role called as SDET, software development engineer in test. Okay. These are the some of the terms that are the used in the test world for some of the designations. Okay. So a tester ensures that whatever requirements are given, those are met or done correctly. Okay, I hope this is clear. Okay, say for example, instead of having three windows, the developer build two windows. Okay, so a tester will raise a issue. So that issue is called as a bug. Okay, so I'm just quoting these terms because in your test automation career as well, you need to understand what is software development life cycle. Then you will understand what is software testing life cycle. So these all things are very important for a tester or for an SDET to understand. Then we can start with the real automation, real coding part. Basics are very important here. Okay, so now we will say what is a bug. Okay, a bug is nothing. It's basically a deviation from requirements. Okay, say for example, I had a requirement. mm, When I log into Facebook, I should see my name. Okay. Say, for example, this is facebook.com. Okay. So when I say, for example, a person logs in, he should see, like, say, for example, welcome Preeti or welcome Ram, something like that, right? So that is a requirement. Okay. If he is not seeing that, that is a bug. Okay. So if he doesn't see his name, that tester will raise a bug. Okay. So a bug should have following things. Okay. It should have summary. Say, for example, what is the bug about? In this case, mm, not able to see name after login. Okay. Then it will have steps to replicate. Okay. If I create a bug, a developer should know what are the steps that a tester has followed to find that bug, right? So what we did is that uh, open Facebook login, then enter username and password, right? And third will be uh, click on login button. What is the expected here? After clicking on the login button, user should see his name. Okay. But actual what is happening? Name is not reflecting. Okay. And he will attach the evidence. So if there is some, say for example, a person has committed some crime, right? So without evidence, he cannot be tested, right? He cannot be sent to jail, or he cannot be, I mean, he cannot be sent for a trial or something like that, right? So to make sure that he has done some crime or he has done some issue, we need to provide the evidence to the court. Similarly, to make sure whether the bug is correct, we need to provide the evidence. Okay. So evidence can be in the form of a screenshot, right? Or you can take the video as well. Okay. And also you need to mention the URLs on which the issue occurred. Say for example, in our case, URL was facebook.com, right? And also you need to provide the data which you entered. So we need to provide our credentials. Okay. Uh, till now we don't have any question. If we have any question, please message on the chat. Yeah. So a bug is raised, and so there is something called as a bug life cycle as well. Okay. So this question is usually asked in interviews as well. What is a bug life cycle? Okay. So when a tester raises a bug, the state is new, right? Right. So usually mm, in projects we follow two methodologies. So one is like waterfall, another one is like Scrum. Okay. So in waterfall, what happens is that client gives all requirements together, and you follow the software development life cycle, and you give the project to the client finally, and then he checks whether it's done correctly. Okay. So this was the traditional approach that we used to follow in the software development life cycle. Sorry, software development world. Okay. Then there is another methodology called as agile. Okay. So agile basically by word it means quick, right? Uh, quick to changes, right? So if we think about agile, it means that we can adapt to changes very quickly. Okay. So in this case, there is a continuous communication between software team and client. Okay. Say, for example, mm, in Agile, there is a methodology called the Scrum. Okay. So these are basically manual testing basics. Okay. So why I'm telling that? Because if you start your journey as an automation developer or a as that, you should know all these things. These are very important because if you don't know what is Agile, what is Scrum, what is what is bug life cycle, I mean, then it will be very difficult to follow your test automation career. So that's why I'm giving some highlights about these things. Okay. Then we have so Scrum is basically you can consider it is a subset of like agile methodology. Okay. So in this, what happens is that as we can call it is a cycle. Okay. What happens is that a cycle can be of 1 week or 2 week. So in that 1 week or 2 week, what happens is that client gives us some requirement. Okay. Then what happens is that development team, comma testing team, product managers, they sit together and understand those requirements and raise questions if any to the client. Okay. And then if there are any questions, client will solve those questions and tell them that this needs to be done like this. This is the requirement. Okay. So the what I told here is cycles. So these cycles are usually called as sprints. So you will hear in your companies, right? These are called as sprints, right? So I think most of few people must have heard about this running, right? Mm, Running competition. So there are like sprints, 100-meter sprint, 200-meter sprint, right? S- So similarly in Scrum, there is a sprint of 1 week, 2 week. It depends company to company. Okay. So in that sprint, mm, some goal is also followed, like sprint goal. In this sprint, in this sprint, we will develop login page. Okay. Say for example, my client told me to develop a login page. Okay. So I will get all the details from the client. I will understand what will be the, he will give me the design as well, right? And then the product manager or the product owner, he will create something called as stories. Okay. Okay. So what is the benefit of this is that we will build in parts and after building, after each sprint, we will have demos as well with the client and we will get feedback from the client, right? Since we are getting feedback quickly, we will be able to manage the changes. I mean, say for example, I showed the demo to the client and he told me this login button should be colored as red. I can do that quickly, change quickly. But in case of waterfall, what happens is I build the whole project. Okay. And then after 3, 4 months, he tells me that change this here, change. In that case, I have to make lot of changes together, right? So that is very tough. So that's why usually in software world nowadays, this agile or scrum methodology is followed. Okay. I hope we don't have any questions, right? Okay. So basically, we're talking about uh, 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 new. Okay. Assign it to develop. Uh, assigns to himself and start working on it. Can move it to the in progress state. And then after the this development work on that bug, his code will be reviewed and QA or testing part. Okay. And then if testing is success, we can move to the done state, or if not, we can move it to the field verifications. This all differs from the company to company, but usually this is followed, right? So when a person raises a bug, a QA raises a bug, the state is new. Then that new bug is assigned to the developer, and the developer moves it to the in progress state. Then it's reviewed, and finally the testing is done, and the tester moves it to the pass or done state or failed verification state. Then the rework will be again done. Okay. And in some cases, what happens is that uh, a developer tells that I will not solve this bug in current sprint or cycle. I will do in okay. So in that case, the state is called as deferred. Okay. So remember this always. If the developer doesn't agree to solve the bug in the current sprint or cycle, and he says that he will do in the future, it's called as a deferred state. Okay. I hope there are no questions. If there are, please drop in on your chat. Then mm, sometimes what happens is that When the bug is created and it's in new state, developer says it's not a bug. So he will tell it's not a bug. Okay. Then what will QA do? He will get on call with dev to replicate steps on screen sharing. I'm telling about from the real experience this happens. Sometimes what happens is that I mean there are some environment issues, right? So due to some environment issues, this login button was not visible. Okay, but I had to say, for example, refresh the page or do something so that this login button should be visible. So in that case, what we usually do is that developer says, "Hey, it was working on my machine. Why it's not working? It's not a bug. I will not solve it." So instead of fighting and all, what we should do is that we should get on a call with the developer and see on screen sharing. Maybe I'm testing in a wrong way, right? So those all things should be made clear on that call. Okay. So those calls are called as bug triage. Okay. Mm. So let's move back to the sprint. So I will tell you some basics about sprint. Okay. So in sprint, what happens first is sprint backlog grooming. Okay. So usually this is done by the Scrum master or business analyst or product owner. Okay. So I mean, it can be different, but usually these three roles are majorly involved in it. So what they do is that they get the requirements from the client and they create stories out of those requirements. Okay. Okay. So a story is nothing. Say, for example, it's basically a feature. Okay. Say, for example, I have a story, create a login page for, okay. This is a story, right? It can have multiple tasks as well. Okay. Say, for example, a design task. Then there might be a backend task. Okay. Then there front end task, right? And then finally there will be QA task as well, right? And in case of automation, there will be a QA automation task as well. Okay. So what these business analysts or product owners will do, they will create a story and they will add something called as an acceptance criteria to that story. So acceptance criteria is nothing. It's basically when you as a tester get this ticket. So what all things you need to check on high level. So when the story will be marked as a done. Say for example, my acceptance criteria usually will be in this format. As an end user, when I open the Facebook login page, I should see the login form. Okay. And should be able to enter credentials and get logged in. Okay. So this is a basic acceptance criteria in it. Okay. So back-end task is done, front-end task is done, then it comes to a QA as well, right? Okay. So a QA will understand this requirement and then he will design something called as test cases, or we will first talk about test scenarios. Okay. A first scenario is nothing. Basically, it's which a QA can do with the requirement. Okay. So for example, my requirement is a login page, but I can do, my requirement is as a user, I should be able to log in. Okay. But this can have multiple cases, right? So one case will be my username will be correct and password will be correct. Okay. So in that case, I should be logged in, right? I should not get any error message. Another case will be username will be wrong and password will be correct. So in this case, I should get error, right? Similarly, both are wrong. I should get error. So these are called test cases for this scenario. Okay. This ABCs, these are called as test cases. Okay. So this is very important because in test automation, when I will get that QA task, I will need to automate these cases, right? So I need to understand what is a test case, what is a test scenario, what is acceptance criteria, what is a sprint. Okay. I hope we don't have any questions till now. Okay, there is another term called, we heard about SDLC. That was software development life cycle, right? There is another term called as STLC, usually asked in interviews and all. Software testing life cycle, right? Usually nowadays we don't follow this much, but from this interview part, I will try to make you understand. So in this again, what happens is that we understand the requirement, then design test cases or scenarios test. Okay. Then do the actual testing. Okay. Then actual testing is done. Then we do like we provide the summary or the reports. Okay. So you will find different parts, but usually this is like a high level. So first we understand the requirement, then we design the scenarios, then we do the testing, actual testing, and then we provide the report or summary. So in this testing also, we must have data, right? Okay. So I should know like in case of Facebook, what are the username and the password I have to use, right? What is the URL I have to use? So these are nothing, these are called as a test data. Test data gathering should be also done, right? Then only the person can do the testing, right? And sometimes in some companies, what happens is that you need to get these scenarios reviewed, right? Scenarios, test cases reviewed also. So usually a product owner or BA will do that. Okay. And now let's talk about some of the roles because you might, I'm not sure whether you know. So in Scrum team, there are usually following roles you might have heard of. So product owner is the first one. So basically, this person is your go-to person. He knows each in and out of the project of the product that we are building. Okay. He knows the requirements. He knows what we are building. Then we have business analyst. So these people, they analyze these requirements. Okay. What they are getting from the client and they make stories out of it usually. Okay. Then we have Scrum Masters. They usually do sprint ceremonies like backlog grooming. Okay. Then there is something called as estimation. Okay. So these three people, product owner, business analyst, and Scrum Masters, they work together. Okay. So estimation is nothing. So basically, a dev and QA needs to tell um, I mean BA or product owners or Scrum Master in how much time we will do particular story. Okay, because when they know, I mean, then only they can the product owners or the Scrum Masters, they can know when the sprint will get over, like what all things we can cover in that sprint. Okay, so in future you will heard about something called as story points. I will not touch this currently. Maybe in future we will have some session about this. Okay, based on story points, usually estimation is done. Okay, so usually we use Fibonacci series 1, 3, 5, right? 8, 13. Okay, so you might be thinking that what is this 1, 3, 5, 8, 13? So these are basically complexity. Okay, so one means a story is very simple to do. It will be done within 1 hour or 30 minutes or maybe 2 hours. It differs from company to company. So these are basically complexity of the stories. So based on 13 is very complex story. It will take like 2 3 days maybe. I'm just guessing out. Okay. 3 and 5 are like medium complexity. 8 is like high. It might take 2 days. Okay. Right. So we calculate the estimation based on the story points. Okay. And then say for example, and then in that sprint, say for example, we will do 100 story points work. Okay. So that is how estimation is usually done mm, in the Scrum world. Okay. Any questions till now? You can ping on the chat. Okay. From tomorrow, we will understand programming language basics. Okay. So before understanding any language, we understand its grammar, right? We understand what are the uh, words available in it, what are the various alphabets, okay, what are the various punctuations. So all things we understand. So basically, that is called as variables, right? Okay, variables are available, right? And there is and also a language. Say, I mean, it can say for example, we have English, right? We write the numbers in the English, right? So in that language, we can have numbers, right? We can have uh, decimal points, right? We can have Boolean, right? So numbers are nothing like 1, 2, 3. Decimals are, say, for example, 1.10, 2.20, 3.30. Okay. And then there is Boolean as well, right? So Boolean is nothing, it's basically true false. Okay. So these are very important things we need to understand from the language basics point. Okay. And also we need to understand like say for example do when I create a variable, say for example variable a equal to 1. Okay, what happens at that time? Okay, so we need to understand all those things. So from tomorrow, we will cover these basics, and then after covering the basics, we will cover the types of the loops available. Okay, then we will cover the, what is it called as, object oriented programming. Okay, so in that we will cover, mm, mm, say for example, what are the objects, okay, what are the classes, okay. And before this as well, before oops, we will understand strings, okay, arrays, okay, maybe lists, okay, because most of the test automation work is done using these. Okay, you should be able to know what is if else, okay, what is for loop, how we will use it, okay, what is string. Say for example, I have a string, say for example, hello. Say for example, I have a string, say for example, um, $233.23. Okay. So in my test automation, sometimes what I need to do is that I need to get only this part. I don't need to get the decimal part. I don't need to get this dollar. Okay. So various string manipulation techniques we will learn. Okay. This is very important. This will take a good amount of time. And then we have something called as an array. Okay. Okay. So in test automation, lot of, I think around 50 to 60% of work is done using these things: loops, strings, and arrays. So you need to master all these things to excel in the automation world. Yeah, I think for today class, if there are no questions, we can wrap up. I will wait for 2 minutes. If there are no questions, I can wrap up.
Oh, hi, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, hi.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Playwright, yeah, mostly how many days it took, sir? You are taking any real-time projects, sir?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, basically all the work which we will do now, it will be real time only. It will take.
Sir, it is same like Selenium, Java, or any different? Yeah.
So Selenium and Java and Playwright, these are like similar only. But say for example, if you learn one thing, na, say for example, you learn Playwright with JavaScript, you will be able to do Selenium as well. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So yeah, we need to master one thing and then we can do most of the things. Any other question?
No, sir. Actually, I'm doing a job, sir. Yeah, there is a requirement, Playwright,
Mhm.
with Selenium, actually, the JavaScript and
Playwright.
Playwright.
Okay, okay, okay. Got it, got it. Yeah, we will start on JavaScript. See, first you need to understand the language. We cannot directly go to this playwright. First, you need to understand the ABC. Then we will start the playwright. Okay.
Yes.
I think if, yeah, any other question?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I think in that case we can wrap up.
Sure, sure.
Thank you. Bye bye.